We get asked this all the time. When exactly was AI invented? People want a simple answer. They want a specific Tuesday on a calendar where a lone genius flits a switch and a machine woke up. But artificial intelligence isn't a single appliance. There is no sole inventor holding a patent. Instead, think of it more like the fields of medicine or aviation. It's a massive, overlapping bundle of mathematics, formal logic, and cognitive psychology built over decades. If you try to pin down an exact start date, you immediately run into a problem. The answer changes completely depending on whether you mean the philosophical concept, the academic research field, or the modern marketing label. What we call AI today is the result of a long, continuous process. It is a towering stack of historical theories, distinct engineering techniques, and quite a few failed experiments, all piling on top of each other until the system finally started working. Long before anyone wired a circuit board, humans were obsessed with the idea of automating thought. Philosophers realized that human reasoning often follows patterns. They developed formal logic, which treated ideas as manipulable symbols. If you could break a complex argument down into structured, sequential steps, you could theoretically calculate a thought the same way you calculate math. Those abstract theories remained entirely hypothetical until the mid-20th century, when mathematicians like Alan Turing began publishing frameworks for testable machine intelligence. With the arrival of early programmable computers, researchers finally had the physical hardware needed to execute those logical procedures. These massive, room-sized machines allowed scientists to actually run the steps and see if the theories held up in reality. A few years later, a small group of researchers decided to organize these scattered experiments into a serious academic project. They named their new discipline artificial intelligence. Giving the field a formal title attracted laboratory space, ambitious students, and critical funding. So, if you want the most practical, agreed-upon answer for when AI started, that moment of academic organization is the milestone historians use. Those early scientists relied heavily on an approach called symbolic AI. Programmers would write out massive lists of explicit, rigid rules for the machine to follow. If the user says A, then respond with B. In highly controlled environments, like a chessboard, this worked well. But the real world is messy. It is full of ambiguity, incomplete information, and endless exceptions. When researchers try to apply rigid logic to complex tasks like translating human language, the systems collapsed completely. The field stalled until engineers embraced a totally different approach. Instead of trying to program intelligence directly through handwritten instructions, they turned to machine learning. Machine learning improves performance by finding patterns in examples rather than relying on handwritten code. Flooding the system with data lets it deduce statistical patterns on its own, analyzing millions of sentences to calculate probable word orders. This strategy finally became viable due to two distinct modern advantages: an explosion in the sheer volume of digital data available and an exponential leap in raw computing power. Shifting the burden of learning from the human programmer to the machine itself allowed algorithms to adapt to the chaos of the real world. That transition from brittle rule engines to flexible pattern recognizers is when AI evolved into the highly capable software we interact with today. When that breakthrough arrived, it didn't look like the movies. There were no self-aware robot butlers moving into our homes. Instead, the technology quietly slipped into the background of software we were already using. It simply became the mechanism powering everyday utilities. It runs the algorithms determining your search rankings, mapping your morning commute, flagging fraudulent credit card charges, and deciding which video loads next in your feed. Because tech companies now place the AI label onto almost any piece of basic automation to boost sales, it creates a warped perception of the timeline. It makes the public feel as though this technology arrived overnight. The reality is much more grounded. These modern systems are not conscious, and they are not independently aware. They are highly advanced tools executing task-focused pattern recognition. So if you are looking for a definitive birthday, you won't find one. Intelligence itself doesn't have a clean start date. It is a messy, layered project, a towering collection of overlapping theories and evolving tools that somehow manage to work together.